Namo Naraya, welcome back. We are finishing up today the Sannyasa Upanishad with the last couple pages of the second section. When shall I get the inward joy while remaining in the state of self-luminosity? When shall I be in a mountain cave with my mind quiescent? When shall I attain similarity to a stone by practicing distinctionless deep meditation? When, while remaining dumb by the peace of partless meditation, birds of the forest will build their leafy nests on my head? Having cut the trees of ideation and the creepers of intense desire of the forest of the mind, and having reached the broad plains of spiritual wisdom, I enjoy life happily. I follow that path of wisdom. I am alone, unencumbered with attachments. I am successful in realizing the truth. I am liberated. I am without desire. I am partless, and I desire nothing. The states of purity, strength, reality, hardiness, truth, true knowledge, bliss, tranquility, the rise of constant joy, fullness, true richness, the possession of effulgence, and true oneness, the mendicant monk thus thinking on the true nature of the self and realizing his true nature, freedom, doubts, indeed, becomes the one without an alternative. If one sorely afflicted recovers, renunciation in the prescribed order should be embraced. An ascetic shall not converse with a low-caste woman, one fallen from virtue, and a woman in her courses. The ascetic has no worship of gods, nor witnessing of temple festivals. The sorely afflicted and the Kutichaka ascetics gain the worlds Bur and the Bhavas respectively. The Bahudaka ascetic gains Svarga. The Hamsa ascetic, the world of Satyaloka. The Turitacha and the Advuta ascetics attain supreme bliss in themselves by deeply meditating on the true nature of the self according to the maxim of the wasp. The practice of scripture study, which is distinct from meditation on the nature of the self, is useless like carrying saffron flowers, which are but a burden to a camel. The ascetic has not to practice the science of yoga or the Sankhya. He has no rituals with mantras and tantras, nor the study of any other religious treatise. If there is, it is like adorning a corpse. Such an ascetic is far away from spiritual lore like a cobbler. A mendicant monk shall not mention his name in the previous stage of life. One reaps the fruit of whatever action one does. Hence the ascetic shall give up all, as one would discard the foam on castor oil. There is no receiving of the offerings made to a deity. He shall not worship gods externally. Discarding everything apart from the self, subsisting on food secured as alms from a number of houses, as a bee gathers honey, being lean and avoiding an increase in fat in his body, he shall move about. He shall spend the time eating food secured as alms from a number of houses, using his hand or mouth as a vessel. The sage, established in the self, should take food which is conducive to the realization of the self. 2/4 of the belly shall be filled with food, and 1/4 with water, and the 4th quarter shall be left for the movement of air. He shall always live on alms. He shall never eat food secured as alms from one house alone. He should go particularly to those houses where the people are seen to be easy in mind, those being who dine only after giving alms. He may expect alms from 4 or 7 houses where the householder performs religious rites. He may expect alms up to the period of milking cows in the afternoon. When he has come out of a house without alms, he shall not go in again. Fasting is preferable to getting food from devotees. Unsolicited food is better than fasting. Begging alms is preferable to unsolicited food. Hence he shall subsist on alms. He shall never enter a house by a side entrance at the time of begging alms. He shall not, out of delusion, go across a house where no harm is seen in doing so. He shall not beg alms from a Vedic scholar if it is given without faith and devotion. He may beg alms from the house of a twice-born who has lost caste when offered with faith and devotion. Alms from a number of houses without planning, that which is planned, the one unbegged, the timely one, and the one offered at the monastery, are declared to be the 5 kinds of alms. The first kind, alms from a number of houses, is declared to be that which is obtained from 3, 5, or 7 houses without premeditation, as in the case of a honeybee from flowers. The second kind, alms previously arranged, is that which is accepted after repeated requests made by devotees in that morning and the previous day. Nonetheless, he may subsist on that. The third kind, alms unbegged, is that which is received when invited to dine by someone or other as he is ready to go a-begging. This should be eaten by ascetics desiring salvation. The fourth kind, being timely alms, is known as that meal which is offered by a brahmana when he has approached a house for alms. This food should be eaten by ascetics. Sages desiring liberation say that the fifth kind of alms, the food offered to the ascetic at the monastery, is the ready meal which is brought by a brahmana to the monastery. The ascetic shall subsist on alms by begging from door to door, even though it may be from the houses of outcasts. He shall not dine in one house, even if the host is equal to the preceptor of the gods in learning. He shall subsist on alms, unsolicited or solicited. Air is not spoiled by touching any object, fire by the activity of burning, waters by urine and feces getting into them, and a mendicant monk by shortcomings in food. When in houses smoke has subsided, the pestle for pounding rice is at rest, the fire in the oven has gone out, and the people have dined, the ascetic shall go for alms in the late afternoon. He shall receive alms except from the accursed, the fallen heretics, and the class of people exclusively engaged in temple worship, from all other castes in different times. He shall consider clarified butter as dog's urine, honey as spirituous liquor, oil as hog's urine, condiment as garlic, cakes made of black gram as beef, and milk as urine. Therefore the ascetic shall avoid, by putting forth all effort, these things. The yogin shall never eat food mixed with clarified butter, condiments, etc. Using his hand as a vessel, he shall not go about for alms more than once a day. When the ascetic eats food with his mouth alone like a cow, he becomes equanimous to all. Hence he becomes fit for immortality. The ascetic shall discard clarified butter like blood, taking food in one house like flesh, using cosmetics like smearing himself with unclean things, salt and molasses like an outcast, garment like dirty dishes, an oil bath like courting women, pleasant company of friends like urine, desire like beef, familiar places like the hut of an outcast, women like snakes, gold like deadly poison, an assembly hall like a cemetery, the capital city like hell itself, and food in one house like the balls of rice at a funeral. There is no worship of gods by him. Discarding the way of the world, he shall become one, liberated while living. Staying continuously in one place, acquisition of a begging bowl, collecting of his staff, etc., gathering disciples, sleep by day, and useless talk. These are the 6 sins of an ascetic. Remaining continuously in one place, except during the rains, is said to be a stay. The acquisition of even a single vessel for daily use by an ascetic is said to be acquiring vessels. Collecting is declared to be the acceptance of a second staff for future use by one who has one already. The acceptance of disciples for personal service, profit, dignity, or fame, and not out of compassion to help them, is said to be gathering disciples. Vedantic learning is called day, as it is illuminating. Ignorance is said to be night. Negligence in learning is said to be sleep during the day. Accepting talk pertaining to the self and at the time of receiving alms, bestowal of blessings and inquiries concerning the self, any other talk is said to be useless talk. Food from one house. Pride, envy, adorning with cosmetics and flowers, chewing betel rolls, an oil bath, sport, desire for enjoyment, medicine to prolong life, and retard old age. Boasting, abusive language, pronouncement of benediction, astrological prediction, buying and selling, ritual, debate on ritual, transgression of the guru and scripture, conciliating, fighting, vehicle, caught, white garment, release of semen, sleep by the day, vessel for alms, gold, gun, seed for cultivation, and seed being the mystical letter forming the essential part of a mantra, injuring, severity, copulation, what is discarded by the yoga of renunciation, vows such as the duties of a householder, family, etc., branch of the Veda, all families of his father and mother, and wealth. All these are prohibited to the ascetic. If he resorts to them, he falls from a state of renunciation. A wise man though very old, shall not trust in women, though very old. Even in very old patched garments, old cloth will stick when stitched. Immovable property, movable things like servants, seeds for cultivation, gold, myrrh, and weapons, these six an ascetic shall not take up as though they were urine and feces. An ascetic shall not take with him even a little provision for a journey, except when in danger. In hard times he may receive ripe corn when cooked food is not available. A mendicant monk who is not sick, and a young monk shall not stay in any house of a householder. He shall neither accept nor give anything to another at any time. With a sense of humility, the ascetic shall strive for the welfare of beings. Begging cooked or uncooked food from another, he falls from asceticism. An ascetic keen on feeding others, who accepts cloth and woolen garments, or others as well as good clothes, undoubtedly falls from virtue. Resorting to the ship of non-duality, he will gain liberation while living. For restraint in speech, he shall observe silence. For control of the body, he shall fast. For control over the mind, breath control is prescribed. A being is bound by worldly actions. He gets liberated by spiritual knowledge. Hence, far-seeing ascetics do not perform worldly action. Scattered are torn garments on the road. Alms can be had anywhere. The earth is a wide bed. How then are ascetics to have grief? The ascetic who offers the whole world as oblation, in the fire of spiritual wisdom, having symbolically transferred the ritual fires to himself, that great ascetic is the true Agni Hotran. Advancement in the spiritual world is twofold, that of the she-cat and the she-monkey. Those who practice spiritual wisdom are like she-cats. The secondary way is the she-monkey. The ascetic shall not speak to anyone unless he is spoken to, nor to one who asks improperly. An intelligent man, though knowing, should behave in the world as if he were dull-witted. When confronted with a mass of sins, he shall practice the meaningful repetition of Om 12,000 times a day, for it cuts through sins. The Supreme Brahman shines to him in 12 months, who gently repeats the Pranava 12,000 times every day, and thus ends the Sannyasa Upanishad